I'm on the road, that's why I live at. Stupid ass question, nigga ask me where I been at. I go missing getting chickens where I went at. See double O if you ain't know where I been at. Only thing I wanna be involved with is greatness. Was trying to wait, but I know it takes patience. Seize up till I freeze up, I'm Asian. Only thing I wanna be involved with is.
What is up, YouTube? It is your boy Little RJ, and I'm back with another video. Alright, y'all, so today the video that we're gonna be reacting to, another SpongeBob conspiracy theory. And this one is called Love is Blinding. It's an 11-minute video, so I ain't really gonna pause it. I ain't gonna pause it. I ain't gonna talk too much. We just gonna watch this video and let it do what it do. But other than that, before I click this play button and click anything else, y'all already know what y'all gotta do. Y'all gotta leave a like, because it'd be greatly appreciated. Subscribe to my YouTube channel so you never miss a subscribe to my YouTube channel. Turn on the post notification bell so you never miss an upload, and comment down below what y'all want to see me react to next. Other than that, and my social media and stuff will be down in the comment section below. If y'all want to follow that, please follow me. That's really the best way to get me to react to whatever y'all want me to. So if y'all want me to react to certain stuff, y'all got to follow me on my social medias, mainly Instagram. So you know, y'all get I can react to whatever y'all want me to. But now ain't no more wasting y'all time. I'm gonna go to the screen record, and we about to do it. 3, 2, 1. Hold on. Make sure screen record. Okay, screen record is on. Let's get it.
Before we start this video, if you haven't heard, I have another SpongeBob theory on this channel. You don't have to watch it, but if you want to, at the end of this video, I implore you to do so. The link will be down below.
You guys have the time?
Oh, what I wouldn't give to have a lass like that on me, look.
Love. Something that can bring the best out of everyone. Something that can tear friendships and relationships apart. Love. It can do as much harm as much good. While watching SpongeBob Season 2, Episode 16, Krusty Love, I understood something about this episode. This scene right here Huh? 1 second, I'm getting a phone call. Oh, okay. Yeah, gotcha. Okay, I'll tell them. So, all I heard was a bunch of high-pitched mumbles, but let's just go over the episode before getting into the theory. We start off with Mr. Krabs knitting a dollar bill on a snitching canvas. Then he smells something terrible. He is a penny short of his profit today. Boo-hoo. SpongeBob questions him.
Oh, like I said, I ain't gonna pause much. It was one time I paused, but I just wanted to say, yeah, this was one of my favorite episodes, and comment down below. Let me know which was your favorite SpongeBob episode. Other than that, yeah.
On why he cares so much. This is important. Mr. Krabs cares about money because it lets the world go round. It lets him repair the store, lets SpongeBob be square, and lets Squidward have frilly soap. But after pointing all of this out, he soon noticed Mrs. Puff eating at a table, not caring about the whole conversation they just had. Mr. Krabs points out Mrs. Puff, and SpongeBob tells him about her. Mr. Krabs hears about her having a husband and gets upset. Then SpongeBob explains how she lost Mr. Puff. We don't talk about those days. Then SpongeBob gets the idea to break the ice and introduce Mr. Krabs to Mrs. Puff. After Mrs. Puff is done having PTSD, SpongeBob drags Mr. Krabs to the table. This scene is very important. Mr. Krabs is stiff. He isn't moving nor blinking. Paralyzed even. Mrs. Puff says hello. and Mr. Krabs starts sweating uncontrollably. Then SpongeBob pushes for Mr. Krabs to say hello. He doesn't say hello, but just mumbles incoherent noises. SpongeBob has to translate for him, and after a little back and forth, SpongeBob lands Mr. Krabs a date. They head back home after work to freshen up. Remember this part. Mr. Krabs has dinner with Mrs. Puff at this fancy place. He is so enamored with Mrs. Puff that he doesn't even know how much money he was spending on her. At the end of the date, he gets the bill. He's upset with the total and ends up going back to SpongeBob.
And that's crazy because I don't know if y'all know, but I think in the later episodes nowadays, I want to say they're still going with the thing where Mr. Krabs and Mrs. Puff are still dating or whatever. I don't know.
Bob crying about it. He tells them that he's stuck between his two loves, money and Mrs. Puff. Then Mr. Krabs gets the idea to give his wallet to SpongeBob and to make sure he doesn't make any irresponsible or unneeded purchases. At first, SpongeBob is hesitant, but he goes along with it. After making some plans, they head over to Mrs. Puff's house. As soon as Mr. Krabs hears Mrs. Puff's voice, his eyes turn to hearts. I think you already know what's important here. Then he orders SpongeBob to get some flowers. SpongeBob is confused with this request after being told not to spend any money. But under pressure, he comes back with flowers. Then Mr. Krabs snaps out of it and gets upset with SpongeBob. But as soon as Mrs. Puff comes back, his eyes turn to hearts and he snatches the flowers from SpongeBob and gives them to Mrs. Puff. Mr. Krabs does it again and asks SpongeBob to get some chocolates for Mrs. Puff. SpongeBob tries to reason with him, but nothing's getting through to him, and once again, under pressure, he goes and gets some chocolates. Mr. Krabs gets dejected with his actions of buying chocolates, and as if on cue, Mrs. Puff voice enchants Mr. Krabs, snapping him into a rhythm of buying unnecessary stuff again. But SpongeBob brings him back by saying that they're only going to the park. Mrs. Puff makes a comment on how she needs to go get her sun hat. But Mr. Krabs is so eager to do anything for her, he orders SpongeBob to go get a sun hat. This time, SpongeBob tries to stand his ground and tell Mr. Krabs that it is not needed. But he isn't having any of it and tells him to go buy one immediately. After doing so, Mrs. Puff tells Mr. Krabs, "I already have one." And after hearing this, Mr. Krabs barks at SpongeBob. But SpongeBob just tells Mr. Krabs that he's confused because he keeps giving him orders to keep spending, and spending. Mr. Krabs hears this and tells him that he's sorry and he'll make a sailor promise not to request anything from now on. We are hit with the special "a few minutes later" and he's back at it again, doing this back and forth, buying and dejected. Then after Mr. Krabs runs SpongeBob to the ground, SpongeBob makes this wonderful point.
Wait! Don't tell me! You want me to run down to the store and buy Mrs. Puff something she doesn't need, then you want me to run back here so you can say, "Arr, SpongeBob, and you're spending all me money."
Hey, hey, y'all, I don't mean to pause, but I ain't gonna lie, bro. This was the funniest part of this episode. I'm not even gonna lie to y'all. Bro, I just had to pause and just let y'all know that, to me, this was the funniest part of this episode.
And then I'll say, "But Mr. Krabs, I'm only doing what you said!"
Mr. Krabs starts crying and really wants to get this one more thing for Mrs. Puff. SpongeBob feels guilty and gets it right away. Mr. Krabs calls to SpongeBob and cries about how he is spending all his money again. Then SpongeBob points out that he's being a hypocrite. This is it. Right here, this is where I thought that this episode is making commentary on how people are blinded with love. They would do anything with their feelings and put their logic aside, not caring if it's responsible or not. Then I went to the drawing board. First things first, we need to lay out what the characters are. Let's start out with SpongeBob. He is logical, the left side of the brain. He makes responsible choices and thinks before you act. Also, the left side of the brain handles reading, writing, and calculations. Mr. Krabs is the right side of the brain. Emotion. Doing things off of vibes, feelings, and, well, emotion. This can cause unwanted actions, but emotions are not always a bad thing. It can be used at times to understand one another. Empathy. Last but not least, Mrs. Puff. She is loved, like a crush or someone you look up to, not wanting to disappoint them or just trying to make them proud of you. Now that the characters are painted, let's go over each important scene. We first start with SpongeBob introducing Mr. Krabs to Mrs. Puff. This scene depicts on how we act when we're in front of our crush or who we looked up to. You are overwhelmed with feelings that you just can't get the words out, like how Mr. Krabs is doing.
I'm not gonna lie, bro. I didn't mean to pause it again, but I ain't gonna lie, bro. Now that he really spoke it and broke it down, this explains a lot, because the reason I say this explains a lot is because this explains how I felt about a crush I had a little while ago, y'all. I was having a real hard time telling her that I loved her, or I ain't gonna say love, but that I really liked her or whatever, or sometimes I would like, but when it came to like texting and stuff, you know, everything was cool, you know, all that. But it's like when I got in person with her and I seen her in person, you know, I would shake, I would freeze up a little bit. I don't know, but you know, just tell y'all a tiny little bit of story, but yeah.
Just babbling noises. Then SpongeBob knows how to translate, being focused and ready to speak. Sometimes you may say the wrong things, but you can always get to the end by trying. Next up is the dinner game, where Mr. Krabs spends all of his money on Mrs. Puff. This tends to happen when you're blinded by love. You go over the moon just
my bad, y'all. I'm gonna stop. Matter of fact, I'm gonna stop right here because my screen recording just stopped. I'm gonna stop right here and we'll pick up from this part in the next video, which I'm literally about to go record right now. Let me know what y'all thought of this video. But yeah, let's get it. See you in the next video. RJ out. Peace. Y'all know what to do.